Wario Land 1 through 4 for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. Late into the 80s and heading into the early to mid 90s, the Game Boy was a force to be reckoned with in the handheld market. By 1993, it was dominating the competition not only because of its simple portability, but also its solid library of titles it was building up to at the time. In 1994, Mario wasn't doing so much, other than educating youngsters and running hotels. On the Game Boy, he was having a great run with his 2 land games selling into the millions. And it was about to get a 3rd edition, but not in the way you would think. Previously in Wario Land II, Mario had to take his castle back by defeating the villainous Wario, the infamous doppelganger making his first appearance, and he must have left some sort of favorable impression to warrant a game of his own, in the form of Wario Land Super Mario Land 3, which was a bit confusing considering the name, but it would go on to spawn its own sequels, giving us the series we're about to look into today. Now, since we'll be looking at the series on every iteration of the Game Boy, instead of going through all the games at once, we'll go through them one by one, which should make it easier to follow as we go along, plus we'll see the evolution of the Wario as well. Though he hasn't really changed much, he's still the garlic-eating fatty we know today. Being the Wario fan that I am, I played them all, of course. Some I have more experience with than others, but that hasn't taken away from the experiences I'm about to share with you. So let's start off where it all began, with Wario Land. It's only right to start with where the series began and where another one mainly ended, with Wario Land Super Mario Land 3. I don't get it either. There really is no real reason for the subtitle than maybe a slight cash-in and a weird way to trick gamers into transition. But one real reason is because of the plot. You see, after Wario Land 2, Wario was kicked out of Mario's castle, but he later gets word that pirates have stolen a giant golden statue from Princess Toadstool, and he wants to get it along with other treasures before Mario so he can build a bigger castle than his arch-rival. Who could ask for more than this greedy tub of flub for whatever reason now sports a safari hat? We arrive at Kitchen Island, more specifically Rice Beach. Looks like Wario will be getting more than money in his body. We begin with our basic stuff like... Did I just body slam a hybrid Sonic character? But yes, this is your basic affair as you move from point A to point B, all the while banging your head on blocks and body slamming enemies. Come on guys, that's obviously a charged tackle. What's next? Ground pound is a cannonball blast? Some blocks will have items like power-ups in the form of different shaped pots, coins, and hearts. What's interesting is that hearts actually act as health, as getting over 99 will give you 1-ups. The coins serve a bigger purpose that we'll get to later. The action here is simple platforming to start off with, and to get you accustomed with what else we'll be getting into as time goes along. At the end, we snoop on a mole that unlocks our exit to victory. But the action doesn't end there, for we can choose between 2 mini-games. We'll show the coin game first. Here you can double or decrease your acquired coins with a simple tug and a hunch. Ladies and gentlemen, gambling before microtransactions. At least it can be actually rewarding, as you can watch your moolah be added to your total as you snicker like a twat. But what are these lettered slots, you ask? We'll solve that mystery later. Level 2 introduces more with additional foes and platforming elements, not to mention more power-ups like the dragon pot that shoots fire out of the nose of the cap like a close-range fire flower, and the jet pot that can let you do a long charging tackle and hover some in the air. By far the best power. You don't want to lose it. Like me. Constantly. You also get introduced to having to pay for the exit. If you saw at the end of the first, there was a sign that said up and B. What that does is make Wario spawn a 10 coins coin that you must spend in order to finish a level. Plus you can do the same for a checkpoint mark that you can find in some levels. So it's basically essential to collect coins for more than one reason. For as greedy as Wario is, he's gotta let go of some of it. Must irk his garlic soul every time. Now it's time to try the heart game where you can buy a course and bomb the hybrid Sonic character for a chance at hearts. My first time didn't go so well as I didn't get the timing down and I only got one hit. And one heart. So I'm done with this game. Levels 3 and 4 started to get this game more difficult, like it was no more time to fool around. This is one in the series I barely have any experience with, mind you. I never went past the second level, and the fourth level kicked my ass for my lack of knowledge. It should go without saying that if you get hit by anything deemed fatal, your powers could go away and you'll shrink to a defenseless Winnie Wario. Get hit again and you'll lose a life. Lose all your lives? We'll get to that.
I wonder what the purpose of that will be. Oh. Help? Somebody? Anybody?
Level 4 was interesting, however, as I got chased by a thwomp or pouncer according to the manual. Kinda gave me the startles, but at least you can get ahead of it, but you will have to wait for it sometimes. This level will test your platforming skills very early on, and for good reason, as it'll prepare you for your first big-time boss battle with a Koopa kid, essentially.
Hoping nobody played Mario 3, eh?
You actually have to go through a mini level to get to the boss, which can be filled with some unexpected BS. But he's not too hard for a noob like me. Oh hey, coins! Get the coins! Give me the cash! Onward ho to Mount Teapot. For fuck's sake. Basically the water world of this game at points, with also a swimming hedgehog with a Cubert snout.
So not only is Nintendo taking shots at the Sonic franchise, but also while they're kicking Sega's ass in the handheld war. Eat it, Blast Processing!
By this point, you'll figure out the swimming mechanics and enemies, which are pretty self-explanatory, plus you'll have to listen to some good tunes. The music here and in this game is good, I will say. Goes well with all the levels you're in and never really feels out of place. The track in level 9 especially is stunning. Feels like I'm in a dream, and it's light-hearted. Maybe too innocent if you get what I'm saying. But it really adds to the atmosphere, although I think they're missing a track when it comes to this stage. This section of the game will also introduce you to another element, the secret treasures. If you so happen to find a key, that means there's a special door to put it in, where lies a special treasure waiting for the taking. Note, they won't be in every level and you'll have to be big in order to get them. Learn that the hard way. But if you make it out of the level with the treasure, it's all yours to be added to your riches. And don't worry, they're not in order either. Off to Stove Canyon. Seems fair from the look of it. Oh, fire! This game kinda has an attitude of its own, I find, where it can be simple for a good portion, then zips to brutal without warning. Your platforming skills will be challenged once again with new elements, and maybe a little puzzle solving skills may come into play. And you may be using those checkpoint markers a lot, so be sure you're getting the dough. Won't only save your life, but...
Jeez, Wario, going so fast with your pockets full of cash. Gotta slow you down a little.
Not gonna lie, the Stove Canyon was full of twists and turns and some backtracking in a good way. I swear, this game had it all. I would say Wario Land was a risk taker in terms of new ideas and implementing what I think were mainly new ideas at the time to a platformer. And it surprisingly worked. Maybe that's why it's Wario instead of Mario. Just in case this game flopped, it didn't look bad in Mario's image. But instead, they made a new star. Anyway, it's time for the next boss, and...
Wow. I could see his pupils at the beginning.
The boss fights, as you've seen, can vary from easy if you know what you're doing to surprisingly difficult if you don't. But if you have enough patience, you'll be able to figure them out. If not, well, I hope you got those checkpoints, but that may not even stop you from the dreaded game over screen. Oh, shoot. Fear not, for all that does is take away a certain treasure of yours that you can reclaim if you want, but your progress will remain the same, so you can go back and kick that face in his...
And kick him in his non-existent buttock. God, what the heck, man? His snot rocks and snake tongue kept getting me every time.
Now we arrive where the SS Teacup has dropped anchor after we seemingly knocked it out at the title screen. It's basically more water levels here and more enemies and more crap to get hit by. But there is more coin collecting to counteract that and additional puzzle solving to do. Oh. Then you make your way onto the ship in the later levels of this section, which is a puzzle in itself. I don't know who designs a pirate ship like this. Find more treasures, kill some ducks, defeat the bird boss with the most obvious hit placement, not really, get more filthy rich and...
Whoa! Wario!
He's the fastest thing alive!
This leads us to Parsley Woods, which may be my favorite area. It's got some exciting and interesting elements to make the area fun. Woodland sections tend to be my favorite parts. Not sure why. Maybe because I could be a tree hugger.
Whoa, that's not the tree.
There's one part that can make you backtrack to what was a water level, now empty, so you can get some more goodies, and there's also a train level. I usually don't like auto-scrollers, but here it makes sense, and I love it because it's fun.
Now, I wish I could tell you more, but I'm afraid I got some bad news. Now, I'm not gonna point any fingers. Cody, you dumb fuck. But while I was taking a break from my 4 hours of play, somebody got to my setup and took it all apart, which somehow got my save data erased.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but with the time I have played it, I regret nothing. This was a fun start to this review and to the series. I didn't expect to have this much fun with it, but with the amount of level variety and whatnot, it was very enjoyable. Maybe one day I'll come back and truly beat it, and get past this dumb ghostly I was struggling with hardcore. But for now, I can only show you what will await you at the end and reassure that finding all those riches is an absolute must. Greed is good when it comes to this game, and with all the unique and fantastic elements at hand, I would give this game a play rate of... gotta play. Now I understand why this game is generally favored back then. Plus, I see why now it was given a sequel. No confusing subtitle this time around. Wario is now striking it out on his own without any issues. At least that's what it seemed. A group of shadowy goons come into Wario's castle, stealing treasure and causing havoc. Not the best day to start off, but that is what we wake up to, no thanks to our alarm clock, which is what we must turn off to start. Now this game plays mostly the same, which is good for a smooth transition, but you'll notice right away that this game is more of a treasure trove. I mean, the first level alone, there are many coins to find. I don't know if this was architected this way. Oh, what am I saying? Of course it was. Wario wants nobody to get his cash.
Where the heck is my wallet? Kevin, you bastard!
Another thing you'll notice is that you can't die. You can get hit, sure, but all that will do is knock you back some and make you lose coins. That's sure not going to get annoying. So the game doesn't primarily focus on survival, instead going for other skills like level completion and puzzle solving, which will be good things to keep in mind as we start off fresh with a good smashing of the clock. Off to level 2 to stop the flooding, so if there's no real threat to our lives, you may ask, what do other enemies do? Well, ignorant Ouija, what they do surprisingly enough is give you power-ups. Kinda. Some enemies will possess some sort of object or weapon that may inadvertently give you a power-up that you'll need to use to get through obstacles or to help you reach extra coinage. Best to be observant at all times so you know what to expect and what could be useful. Speaking of observing, on every level there is a treasure room that you should go into for a chance to grab a treasure. But the kick in the dick is you gotta pay up for that chance. In order to get a treasure, you gotta participate in a tile matching game, and the more you pay, the easier it is. Now, I don't want to brag, but I did normal and did mostly well with them.
They're never gonna know.
Anyway, it can't be underestimated how important it is to have a solid noggin for problem solving and a sharp eye for coinage and treasure, all of which will lead you to victory and a sizable bank account. Also, be sure not to keep holding up on a doorway. That was annoying as all hell. Stop the drain from flooding, now to go down to the cellar to check on my riches. By the way, at the end of each level is another game that can add to a collectible portrait if I'm not mistaken. You have to guess what number is being revealed, betting more of your moolah to see more of the number. I personally found it to be a waste with especially how cheap the tile reveal could be at times, and at other times I was disappointed in my guessing. So I didn't do it too much. Anyhow, the cellar. What a perfect place to hide all the good stuff. No one ever is gonna find. Ah, a snake! A snake! It's freaking Ka! That wasn't hard at all. What a surprise. Our prized sacks of untold riches are gone. Now we must retrieve them back. But first a detour. We must get our cuckoo!
Just gonna pause real quick to let you know we're gonna go through more things of note a little faster so I don't end up repeating myself, so hang on to those fat cheeks and try not to toot. Cause it may smell like Wario's garlic.
Now, just to get this out of the way, I love how the border can transition the way it does as an indicator to let you know where you are. I should point out I'm playing on the Game Boy version and not the Game Boy Color version, as I don't have that one, but I'm positive they're the same. Along your journey, you'll encounter many obstacles that'll take some ingenuity or additional power-ups that you'll find as you go along. Some levels or boss fights can be built around them, while others can serve as wastes of time.
A bowling ball gets you wasted? Oh, Nintendo.
I will admit on a few occasions I fell victim to enemy placement being a whole bunch of bull honky. Sometimes I would get hit way too much, either being out of frustration and dumbness, or just bad placement all around. I can allow you to say that it's up to my lack of experience, as I haven't played past Chapter 2.
But still, get your placement together, Nintendo.
I also like the callback to the first game, as we are going up against the same foes with the teacup making an appearance along with its captain.
Whoa, hey there, baby. Can I sail your ship? I just have one question, though. Why is your name Syrup?
Having a female antagonist is a nice change of pace, which also caught me by surprise. But it doesn't stop greedy Wario to keep going on the hunt for them on the varying landscapes we come across. And I'm not kidding, we go to many, many places, like we can go from the ship, to the forest, to the city, to maybe a factory. The variety of places to be at any one time is neat, and it goes greatly with the varied level design. Once again, Wario Land tries out many types of platforming styles, making the game another challenge and good fun. Not every one level is the same entirely. Who knows exactly what you'll be doing? You may find yourself scaling skyscrapers to forcing a turtle to swim, or jumping on birds from Game & Watch Gallery 4. Wait a second. My only real problem with the variety was with the owl segments. It's fine for what they are, but on occasion it would not respond and get me coins lost. So I really hate this bird for that. I wish I could tackle him, but I can't because Nintendo logic says so. The bosses as well are oddly varied too. I mean very varied. I don't know who was in charge of this entirely, but I really want to know what they were smoking when they came up with the basketball bunny. I think I may have answered my own question. What frustrated me about them, however, is that if you screw up, what will happen mainly is you getting thrown out of the play area and will have to backtrack to them and restart the fight. Which is fair when you think about it in hindsight, but I find it a tad frustrating because it makes my game playing skills look bad. At least worse than normal. I'm sure it frustrates anybody when they can't solve anything.
Do you know what 59 times 59 equals?
3,481.
The music here is a step up from the original for sure. It has some kicking tunage to set up for whatever level or challenge you're facing off. It does have the weird silence every time you go to the next screen, but at least it doesn't restart. That's always a plus. Somebody should have written that down. Wario likes it so much I've got him dancing to it. Or maybe he's working off that cake. One of the two. In time you'll be able to find those scallywags at their castle, then you must make your way in and reclaim the treasure that you took before. Now I shouldn't have to tell you this, but the final chapter is a piece of work. I mean, I struggled a few times trying to figure out what to do. I had to pause and look up what I was doing. I'm not afraid to admit that, but that only goes to show how much of a challenge the game can get over time, and that's doubly true at the final boss. I swear to God, it was a nightmare. I failed so many times I lost count at how many times I threw my controller.
Alright, this is it. No more Mr. Fat Man.
In all honesty, I didn't think I would see the credits roll here, but I'm glad I was able to pull it off because as the old saying goes, never be game over. But in actuality, the game isn't over yet, for after we're shown our progress made, we're also shown an overviewed map of all the other routes we could have taken, and then we can start wherever we like now. So there is replay value to be had here, which is awesome, but for now we're gonna call it a job well done as we've done about all we can. Number 2 is in the books and it was an impressive journey. Wario was able to shine and truly cement himself as a player in handheld games with assorted levels and diverse ways to play, mixing it all into one fantastic game that wouldn't be forgotten. With multifarious gameplay and a charm all its own, the play rate for this game has to be... play now. This was a real fun time. I wonder if the next entry can top it. At the turn of the century, or so says the copyright, we were greeted to Wario Land 3. And before anybody asks, the only reason why the border is orange is because there isn't really a good blue around, and my brother Alex is in the room presently.
He really likes Oran.
Hell yeah, I do.
This time, Wario finds himself a music box after crashing his plane, but it somehow sucks us in, leaving us trapped. But a hidden figure promises to free us if we could get his powers back that are sealed away in 5 other music boxes. I don't know if he expects Wario to have the voice to do the deeds, but I do know a shadowy figure never ends well. But without any other option, we accept this quest and start the first level. Now I'm sure you can see it plays almost exactly the same as to Wario Land 2, which is good, no need to fix what isn't broken, but I may have spoken too soon for I noticed a few things missing, like I couldn't ground pound nor could I swim. I don't understand, but everything else is the same mostly. The ending is where things change a tad, for now you must find keys in order to open certain treasure chests for progression. Yes, there are others and we will get to them. The next level also introduced a new feature in the day and night mechanic, where one level could be vastly different depending on when you enter it. Also found these big collectible coins, which I later found out there are 8 in each level, and they won't count unless you collect them all in one fell swoop.
Huh?
I mean, that'll be good for replay and maybe potential backtracking, but hey, I'm not complaining right now because the levels are nice so far. Well, somewhat. Though I'm enjoying them right now with the platforming and the new power-ups, it's getting my brain thinking, and the music accompanying the levels are decent for what it's worth. However, I find there are a few places of unfairness with some enemy placements and not knowing exactly what to do, as I am missing some stuff I was used to, but I'll let it slide for now. Interestingly enough, I got past this part and into another section without a boss fight, and this is kinda where I got lost. So after the first level when I beat it and unlocked a treasure chest, nothing happened. I was confused with what to do as I'm just used to moving on, but this is actually where the other colored chests come into play. So in addition to the black chest that I thought was just normal progression, there are 3 other chests colored red, green, and blue. They each have additional means of progression just like other stuff to combine parts to continue. A few may have music boxes or your power-ups.
Wait, what the hell? You have to find the old power-ups you used to have in the other games? What the fuck is this shit?
I honestly don't get it. Why do we have to work for the power-ups we used to have to start off the game? That just really irks me. It's just dumb that we have to work to slam our fat asses into the ground or being able to swim because we somehow forgot, or we just can't because we float. I swear though, as time went on, this game really did piss me off. At times it was unclear what to do in order to progress. There was a good level of backtracking the game forced me to do, which I don't mind, but I didn't like the amount it did, as I felt it was changing my way of progression. Another thing that confused me were the bosses. Death again isn't a factor here, but these bosses murderized me. I have 0 experience with this game, which may be to my downfall, but I swear I thought I could take on something like this, but it took me several attempts to take them down sometimes, and it's not even worth it mostly as they don't hold music boxes, just other stuff, so it doesn't feel rewarding at all. I especially hated whatever the hell this was, like a wizard rodent. Are we taking shots again? I swear I got lost so many times I had to refer back to guides to figure out what I was doing. But I think what really pissed me off was the fact that you have to get to some treasures by paying to play
Golf. Golf? Golf!
It may sound tame, but I'm not that big of a fan of the double meter bullcrap they were trying to do here, as evidenced in the first Wario Land. I had so much trouble with these, I had to spend so many coins and pray to God I got a clear course. And come on, Nintendo, stop robbing Wario of his coins. Give me the coins! Also, it could have been any other game. Maybe tennis, baseball, strikers, anything else would have fitted better than golf. All of that complaining was in vain anyway, as I just keep getting stuck and I have to keep going back in order to progress, even though progression is going forward in life. Gah!
Okay. Alright. I'm done. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I really tried to get into this one, but I see no point in continuing if I have no idea what I can or cannot do.
I honestly don't know what else to say. I'm baffled with how bad this went back on what it was good at. The 3rd edition is just not good for me, nor what I really expected. The constant need to go back and being lost most of the time is my big issue. Yes, you can ask the shadowy figure, but any Shady J is going to be vague about everything. I bet you anything he was a baddie too. Another generically bad thing to put in this mediocre sequel. That isn't to say all portions are bad. The levels are still fine, and I guess you can say they tried very hard to go more with the puzzle solving this series can be known for. And I've said Wario Land is kinda where devs have experimented with unique ideas, but I believe they may have gone overboard with this one. With that in mind, it still feels like a Wario game, but significantly lacks in my opinion what made it good in the last 2 entries. I know I'm in the minority here, but this just doesn't do it for me. So I'm gonna have to give this a play rate of... play. It surprises me we would see another release in the series, and we wouldn't have to wait too long for it either. Now before we get into it, I just have to ask, does this sound like swearing?
Come on, put this, let's get it done. Put this, come on, put this, let's get it.
Sounds like 2000s era Nintendo to me. Now moving on from the newfound controversy, we arrive to the fourth installment and what drove this video in the first place, Wario Land 4. This was the first Wario game I ever played, and maybe my only game I traded back in my youth, as I traded my Pirates of the Caribbean GBA game with my best friend Elmo to get this game.
Hey Emerson, sorry I jibbed you out of this gem, but I hope you did good trying to burn the memory of the Arcadia. I heard Mexico has good food.
Anyhow, Wario, being the greedy bastard that he is found out of a legendary pyramid being discovered. So we're gonna go to the jungle and find all the riches we can. So we do so and follow the same kitty we almost roadkilled, and before it looks like she's getting her revenge, we find ourselves inside and at the first level. And if you're wondering how I know that cat is a she, you'll find out later. Now let's go on an acid trip, shall we? Okay, so this may be the perfect starting level to any Wario game. This is your basic tutorial level if there ever was one. The game helps you exactly figure out the basic controls as well as additional controls, as we can now take advantage of the shoulder buttons, which helps give us Wario's furious bull charge. The only thing it neglects to mention, I think, is that if you ground pound, some enemies can change and drop more valuables when you take them out. But it's only for a select few, so whatever.
It is what it is.
The collectibles this time are gems along with coins and these 4 pieces of a tablet that will serve a later purpose. But that's only for progression. To beat a level, you first have to find the blue frog, usually at the ending point of some levels. Then you gotta hike it back to your starting point before the level seemingly melts away in the allotted time. Preferably Super Metroid style. Additionally, you'll want to find this bird key. Don't ask why he's like this, but he also helps with progression. You'll then find yourself being able to move on as the bird unlocks the door to the next level, and the tablet gets put on the boss door, which we're about to open. But first, a mini-game break. We've got 3 options to choose from, and they cost a hefty amount of cha-ching. But we'll go ahead and play baseball.
Oh shoot, I didn't expect to have this problem. Batta, swing, batta.
These mini-games do serve a purpose, and that's to rack up as many points as you can in order to earn these frog coins, I guess you can call them, which can be used at the boss door, which we're going through now. Before you enter a fight, you can buy certain items if you feel like you need a little help, but I think I can take care of it, so the least I'll take is a smile. Now that's cute. Alright, it's time to fight our first boss. I'm pumped up, I'm pumping iron. What are we gonna face? Let's go!
I'm beating up a child.
Whoa, jeez, a spoiled, rotten child.
The first boss is absolutely nothing special. Just a few tackles will do it in, then you clear the first stage and the whole rest of the pyramid opens up to you. Oh, what to choose, what to choose. Pausing real quick to let you know that I'm going to once again speed through these next few sections to better simplify the game, as we are running quite longer than usual. I won't leave any important things out, but get ready to roll so fast you'll be seeing Wario pull a hedgehog. A fucking again. I guess for simplicity we'll go counterclockwise and start at the Emerald Passage. Each section will have 4 levels before a boss, kinda having a common theme. This case is greenery if the color didn't help much.
I'm hearing things, oh boy.
These levels are very simple to start out with. Helps you get better acquainted with the game, so it helps pros of the series get reacquainted and get newcomers accustomed to the game. Not really hand-holding, more like it's open-ended to where anybody could pick this up and play. The levels themselves scream exploration. I mean, you could find just about anything you need to help you progress or just get richer. If you think you're in a slump, it'll be good for you to look around for anything that may help you, but if you reach the froggy, that can also help you out too, as some areas may be blocked until you sit on the frog switch. Then you can probably get back to what was blocked before the level swallows you whole. Power-ups are here. Not exactly the same as other iterations, but I'm sure you'll figure out what to do while exploring these gorgeous places. And look, I can actually swim. The graphics here are beautiful. Probably the best by a clear mile. Granted, it's a whole other system, but hey, the advancement shows. The music is also awesome. It's probably my favorite soundtrack in the series. Believe it or not, there are also a sub-collectible in all the levels going forward, as you can find colored CDs that you can listen to later in the sound room. But they're actually not tracks from the levels, more like random mixtapes the composer made while on a high. You'd understand when you see this imagery.
What is that?
I like to imagine those are devs who tried their best Wario costumes. But yeah, you'll have 4 tracks per passage with some interesting visuals to see alongside. I'd say this is my favorite from Emerald. Now, like I said, the important collectibles are the tablets for the door and the keyboard to advance to the next level. If you get all those, you'll make it to the boss in a jiffy, and maybe get to play another mini-game quicker. The next one I tried was the Wario Hop for a ripoff, because all it is a Wario-themed T-Rex or offline dinosaur game set to music. So that was a waste. So I won't need any of the other items, so I'll leave with another smile. Thanks, buddy. So the next boss, Cractus, did a number on me, not gonna lie. Going from this to him did me in a few. This time, health is a factor, and if you get hit by anything lethal, it'll cost a heart. Lose all hearts, and you'll be booted out and have to start from scratch. No lives, which I don't mind, just tells me I have to get good.
Bruh.
So I took him out and got some treasures that went into this mini pyramid for some reason or another, but we'll figure that out later, so let's go ahead to the Ruby passage. I think this was my favorite section of the game because of the varied level design throughout. The experimentation on display is cool, shows you early on that not every level will be the same, like at all. I mean, what other game could pull off having a toxic landfill as one stage, then a pinball level the next? Frickin' Wario Land, that's what. But if you need a break from the vast scenery, you may find it in the secret bonus rooms. Forgetful Eye is, but you can find about 1 or more of these rooms in a level, each usually resolving around how to get more riches. This is where most of the puzzle solving comes into play, and I'm all for it. It doesn't take away from the core gameplay, and it's there to rack your brain of greed. Also, they mostly revolve around this mad archaeologist, who's there mainly for the punishment.
I have no remorse.
Also, if you're going to try to collect everything, you may find yourself going back into the level to find all the collectibles. I found myself doing that out of stupidity or because I was a little panicked for time. But always remember to be observant so you don't have to go back for any other reason than getting a ball into a slot.
Come on, let's get the ball in there. I somebody. Oh, come on, just get the ball in there. Come on, get the ball. Come on, get it in. Get in there!
Last minigame before the boss, Wario's Roulette. Basically memorize the face it wants you to make on Wario and try to match it, kinda like the WarioWare microgame that would come about 2 years later. It gets harder as you go along, much like with the tile matching in 2, but it was fun and I got 2 additional coins, which is enough to buy something. But I don't care to have them, so I'll just take another smile.
Cutie.
The next boss is that of a cuckoo clock possessed by vultures. Wasn't the hardest thing in the world, but it took me a second to figure out the little vulture was the target. But I got him in good time, so let's make our way to the Topaz passage. Not without a trip to the sound room first. Topaz was the more brighter section and a little frustrating at times. The first 2 levels were fine and fun, the other 2 caught me off guard with the challenges they had. I would blame it on lack of knowledge as I haven't played it in a long time. I almost beat it on the first save file and here's the proof. But level 3 especially had my number. and I freaking hate that artist pig. He can go die a second time, die a ghost death. The other levels were different. One was about shapes, another about this switch that could grant you certain things, which I dig, and the last level was a race against the dominoes, which I liked as well. Getting some domino love here. The only reason I found it frustrating was because I was convinced there was a piece of a tablet somewhere, and I kept failing repeatedly trying to make it. When I finally did, all there was just some riches. I would eventually find the piece in a door I never went into, which also turned into a common theme when looking back at the footage. I failed to go into the most obvious doors. Now this next boss should have been a cinch, but for whatever reason I got screwed over trying to deflate this teddy bear full of the mouse's hot air. But it allows me to show you regrettably that if you are failing to beat a boss in the allotted time, some treasures will be taken away from your earnings, so if you are failing it may be best to commit the suicidal in order to restart, but I didn't think of that and I went on with one treasure less. Dang, that really gets you, right here, in your greedy heart. Not even all the many smiles could cheer me up, but maybe the songs can? Now for the Sapphire passage. Not only did I make this the final passage, but if you played it as your first, it would definitely show. It is more of a spooky atmosphere apart from one exception, and it will definitely challenge you with everything you've learned so far, plus still adding new things to the mix. Also by this point, doing the level twice over will be more common as there's a lot more stuff to find, as I'd say the levels are more open than usual. And the challenge can vary to power-ups wasting your time, this pirate ghost stealing your coins so you've met a greedy equal, puzzles get tougher and you forget to go through the most obvious door. What is the matter with me? The only elemental level in the passage was a piece of work, though still very interesting. The last level I enjoyed a lot with the amount of detail and exploration you can have. Kinda gave me Luigi's Mansion vibes. With a quick smile, we reached the last main boss. He wasn't too hard either, but it took a moment to get used to the idea of surfing. Never really saw Wario surf. We would either swim or float or sit on a floaty. But I got the job done and found the pyramid rising to reveal the final boss.
You know what this calls for? A music break.
You may recognize this song from WarioWare as it was repurposed for where all the characters meet up. Best track in the game hands down, but we don't have any more time for that. Now we've got more treasure to find and a final boss to defeat inside the Golden Pyramid. This has you doing what you did at the start, doing one level before the boss, only this time you're on the clock at the start and the level will encompass all the shit you've come across in order to throw a gasket over your progression. But if you're able to think on your toes, you'll make it through it so you can reach the Golden Diva. But before that, I must do the honorable thing. I'm gonna miss you, buddy.
Alright, pumping more iron, getting ready for this final battle against this Asian Golden Diva, I suppose. Oh, hey there, kitty. What are you doing? Whoa, brave kitty. I like this cat. Wait, what are you doing, you diva? No, not the kitty, no! Oh, you just gave me another reason to whip that diva ass of yours. Let's go.
This lady will also incorporate a lot of in-game elements you've learned throughout the game to give you an ultimate challenge that really did a number on me. It took me several attempts to try and defeat her. I almost questioned if I was going to do this. I was getting pissed and my thumb was starting to hurt.
But you know, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I can take down this diva any day. And if I learned anything through my history in gaming, is that Guile's theme goes with anything. I got all the treasures, baby. All mine. All mine. Oh no. The pyramid, it's collapsing. I gotta get out of here.
I finally beat her with almost all the riches in check, but in the end we all escape, all of us, in time to watch the pyramid collapse. As it turns out, the cat was the ancient queen brought back to her true form by yours truly. Depending on how well you do, you'll get a different queen as a result. I was fortunate to have the best ending of her even without one chest, but she ascends to the heavens as we take our fortune home in our car as the credits roll. And that's how you play. And I don't think there was a better way of telling you what this game was all about after going through the last three. But I hope you saw why I consider this one of the best. I absolutely love this game. The graphics, the varying levels and themes, music, bosses, it's all around a fantastic time. By this point, the devs were able to find what worked and didn't work after all these years and gave us an entry that made the whole formula come together for what I think is the best Wario Land game to grace the series. So with its overall greatness in gameplay, music, amongst the many other things it got right, I would have to give this game a play rate of... play now. It should be no surprise what Wario wastes his money on, only after a few days it should be obvious. It's food, everybody. The greedy can also be very hungry. Each game was received very positively upon release, also selling into the millions. Some sold more than others, one of which I'm surprised about. The Wario Land series would also see a release on the Virtual Boy, which I did a video on earlier in the season if you want to check that out, and on the Wii, which I hope to get to later down the line. Wario since then got a few other titles, another series in WarioWare, and has made appearances in other Mario spin-off titles. But I hope we could maybe see another release for the series soon. It's been 11 years as of this video, and I think it's long overdue. I mean, if Mario got his long-awaited sequel 8 years ago, why can't the Wah?
So, what is my overall rate to play?
Now that I have been able to play all the games released in the Game Boy line, I can honestly say I feel like a better gamer because of it. Not sure exactly what that means, but I'll figure it out at the end. The first Wario Land was a good introduction into the series. Despite ending another one, it was able to give the spotlight to a new star, and he didn't disappoint. Wario Land II excelled from what came before, and worked to establish the common traits of the series we would see in later entries, and made it work with charm and overall fun factor. Wario Land 3, on the other hand, felt like a step back. Though it still plays like Wario, the odd decisions of negating powers until it seems necessary and the repetitive backtracking took it down for me a notch. But Wario Land 4 made up for all of that by combining all the things that made all the other games good to get what I figure to be his most defining platforming game to ever come from the anti-Mario, or just simply, the Wario. Each game has a lot to show for itself as they shape the Wario we know today. Although not every adventure was flawless, I had fun in the long run. I applaud the devs at R&D 1, including the directors, producers, composers, and to the many others that were left in the credits. Thanks for making one of the most phenomenal series to ever span across the life of the Game Boy.
To conclude, I give this series an overall play rate of must play.
But that's only my opinion. If you have your own thoughts, leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others could enjoy this, share it around the web. And if you want to see more, subscribe! Anyway, this has been BrianTheBlue Game Reviews, Wario Land 1 through 4. For the Game Boys. Ryan here saying thanks for watching my game review. You can find me elsewhere like on Co-op.com where me and my friends play through various games for you to see. We do Let's Plays and weekly shows, having fun and getting frustrated in the process. Subscribe today to see what we play next in the coming weeks. Plus, I run the Starfighters Arcade channel. I work at a retro arcade in real life, and there we cover the arcade games with regulars as well as providing tips. You can find out more about the arcade in our commercials, so check us out when you have the time. But don't forget, I have plenty of other content on this channel with original series like quick views, console reviews, AC reviews, and current calamities. From software to hardware, I provide any and all gaming reviews. Check out Jacobians further to see what I have to offer. That's all the promotion from me. Click the I to go watch either the previous or upcoming episodes of Game Reviews.
If this season is remembered for anything, it's probably gonna be for the Wario love. Okay, let's go to the arcade.